Let's before we talk about the Insurrection Act and this Truth Social post, let's give a little context for listeners who weren't following last night. So a federal an ICE agent, I don't know if it was just one or multiple, they shot a Venezuelan immigrant in the leg last night after he attacked them, by the way, with a shovel and a broom.
Well, hold on. He was stopped. He was stopped at a traffic stop and then
fled.
It sounds like fled. Yeah. So, I mean, there's
long car chase, foot chase. He runs into his home, right? It sounds like it's his home. And then a fight happens.
Yeah.
And he shot in the leg, but again, after picking up a shovel and going at
multiple people. I think the allegation is three illegal immigrants attacked an ICE officer. So yeah, just to give context.
And as I noted in our group chat this morning, let me just pull this up. So again, those are, I think, all agreed upon in terms of the facts. Like, I chased, attacked the agent with a shovel and a broom, and the New York Times headline is "Federal Agent Shoots Immigrant in Minneapolis."
Well, I think, look, I mean, I'll just start with this because it goes to where you're going, Sean, which is I was on air last night on News Nation when this broke. And the first thing that we all agreed off camera is unless there's video, half the country is simply not going to believe what DHS says. They just aren't. And that is a just unfortunate reality, right? A lot of Democrats believe ICE has, fudged stories, if not outright made up stories. And so if those facts are true, then it's huge. I mean, an illegal immigrant attacking an ICE officer and intentionally trying to harm, evading the arrest, total justification, it would sound like, to use your weapon to defend yourself. But to half of America, it is just like, I don't believe it.
Yeah, but how much of that is the fault of the Democrats, some Democratic leaders, Dan? I mean, they're outright accusing ICE of, targeting Americans, criminal activity, like.
Well, I mean, look, this is the thing.
Occupying Minnesota, like.
Well, so to you and I, so you say partly the fault of the Democrats. Yes, is the answer. The flip side to that is, has DHS embellished and told stories about incidents that haven't been true? Yes. So the problem is, just like when Biden was in control, and after a while, a lot of Republicans and MAGA just stopped believing anything he said. Yeah. You now have on the other side our version of fake news.
Yeah. And also the lack of investigation. Remember, we've talked about that.
Totally.
And that's why I think that, I said this before. Did Renee Good break the law? Yes. I mean, I don't think that's not but was she a domestic terrorist? No. Mm. And I think this is where what's happened. And again, why I argued that Minnesota should be part of the process. It's not because it's more just, if you're DHS and you want that credibility, you want that support, then don't do things that counter it. And I think Kristi Noem hasn't been helpful in this process.
Before we get to the Insurrection Act, again, more context here, because after this happened, there were a ton of protesters that showed up last night to this area, started vandalizing things, spray painting cars, kicking in windows, and it got so bad.
Very peaceful.
The Minnesota police chief, Brian O'Hara, who, by the way, has been critical of ICE, right? He came out and said everyone needs to leave the scene. He said protesters are engaging in unlawful behavior. And we started to see some Democrats last night actually change their tone a little bit on this. Even Mayor Fry, who is the one who said, get the F out of, Minneapolis or whatever, he told protesters to leave after they started vandalizing things. He said, anyone who's taking the bait tonight, stop. You're not helping undocumented immigrants in our city. Amy Klobuchar came out and urged residents not to go to the scene. So she said, do not do it. And now you have this tweet by the president saying,
if you don't get it under control, yeah.
Yep. But you know what the funny thing is? I would have told, and I get the president's going to do what the president. I mean, this is Trump. But at the end of the day, this is where I said this the other day. This is going to become their defund the police. Mayor Fry is responsible. If your car got vandalized, if your shop gets broken into, that's on him. He's the one who prevented the Minneapolis police from doing their job. He's the one who turned up the rhetoric. And at some point, if I were the Republicans right now, this is one would get out of the way, let this tilt over the Democrats and make them own the problem now.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause, like,
I will
yeah.
say again, just I think both sides. I mean, even going to DHS's statement last night, right? I mean, it is unprecedented that their statement was not just like a matter of fact statement. It was a Joe Biden released this person. I mean, it is, and this is the posture that we live in now, where political statements go into law enforcement statements to set narratives. I think we would all agree about that. But I do agree with you, Sean. Democrats have to be really careful this doesn't become Portland, where there are images of vandalism, of looting, of people and protesters in masks and waving Palestinian flags and lighting things on fire. We have momentum, just to be crass politically, right now until last night, and we could really blow this if we're out of control.
Well, remember, it started with a surge because Republicans were riding the wave of fraud. They surged ICE to go in and do all this. Then Democrats seized on the moment. And so it's like Republicans now need to kind of read the room too and go, get out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this sort of what does this mean if he invokes the Insurrection Act, guys? Like, what does that look like? And Sean, is it just sort of, again, like the art of the deal, a threat to try to get,
No, I actually think he really, this one, I think he means that.
And what does that look like?
I think more National Guard. There's something about being able to. I mean, I'm the wrong guy to ask this, but I think you do suspend habeas corpus potentially. You have a huge surge in federal and National Guardsmen. I mean, there's a lot that the president gets the ability to do under the guise of an emergency.
Mhm.
I think we're going to.
You really think he'd do it? I mean, that
I do actually. I think he's
huge step.
Look, we've been taught. I've said this before, but like he gets moved by imagery, whether that's people being killed in Iran or Syria back during the first term. He is moved by imagery, and when you turn on the television and see what happened last night in Minneapolis and Portland, etc., you're going to go, you know what? This is ridiculous. And so, and if you have people in your ear, which I imagine there's a few, saying, why don't you just invoke the Insurrection Act?
Yeah.
Boy, I think that would be that'd be bold. I mean, just to state the
protesters
obvious.
will respond in kind, and it.
Yeah, I think politically, I'd be curious how strong. Like, does Tom Emmer and others? How do they feel about that? Once you cross
really
that
good
line,
question for him.
Well,
him
we'll get to this. I mean, he may have some other issues top of mind too.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to get that too.